It's November 14th, 2023, and these are your headlines. As you can see, we're at the Capitol today, if you're watching us on video, because believe it or not, there's actually a quorum in the Texas House. And for the first time in a week, you actually have enough members that decided to show up to the Texas House in order to get work done. And so today, the order of business is border security, specifically two main pieces of legislation. One that would allocate money, $1.5 billion to border barrier infrastructure, as well as increased funding for DPS down in Colony Ridge, which is the illegal alien housing development north of Houston that we've reported on, as well as another piece of legislation that would create a state penalty for illegal entry into the country and would empower law enforcement officers to send people and order people back across. Obviously, this is a major priority for border security advocates. All of this legislation, by the way, passed out of the Senate last week while the House was not meeting. But as we record this right now, they're debating it. And all this is happening, by the way, at the same time as we see the problem continue to get worse. I know it almost sounds like a broken record, but the problem, literally month to month, we continue to see this problem get worse. And make no mistake, although October's encounters with illegal border crossers are lower than September's all-time record-breaking high, there's still a nearly 10,000 encounter increase from October of last year. Now, U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported that the total encounters along the southwest border in October were just over 240,000. This is a decrease of 11% from September. However, September's numbers, let's put this in perspective, were the highest ever recorded since the federal government began tracking the data in 2000, with 269,735 total encounters in federal fiscal year 2023, which ended in September. CBP encountered 2.4 million illegal border crossers, almost 2.5 million. This is a greater number of people than the entire population of Houston. Encounters along the southwest border have continually increased year to year since President Biden's inauguration in January of 2021. Now, during former President Donald Trump's last months in office, October 2020 saw only 72,000 encounters along the entire southwest border. Granted, encounters in 2020 decreased partly due to the impact of COVID-19, but a large part of this was because of the Donald Trump border policy. The consequences of lax border control have been wreaking havoc across the state and beyond, with 12 terror watch list suspects also encountered along the border in October. The Texas A&M Board of Regents is reportedly set to name pro-DEI Obama appointee Mark Welsh as the sole finalist for the position of university president. Now, Welsh has served as the interim president of the university since former President Kathy Banks resigned in late July following a hiring debacle. Now, Welsh previously served as the dean of the university's Bush School of Government and Public Service from 2016 until he was appointed as interim president earlier this year. He served in the U.S. Air Force as a 4-star general and Obama appointee to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. More concerning, he has expressed pro-DEI viewpoints on multiple occasions. We have those stories at Texas Scorecard. Now, this week, Faculty Senate Speaker Tracy Hammond told the Faculty Senate on Monday that Sharp is expected to name Welsh as the sole finalist for the presidency at a special meeting later this week. This will kick off a 21-day period for feedback, not just for people at the university. The required 21-day waiting period between the time a sole finalist is selected and when they're officially appointed is the opportunity for citizens to comment as well. And keep in mind, Texas A&M, like other public universities in Texas, is overseen by a board of regents who are appointed by Governor Greg Abbott and confirmed by the Texas Senate.
Do you want to see the world around you change? Are you looking for an internship that will help Texans lead the way in our country?
Texas Scorecard provides real news for real Texans and is one of the fastest growing news outlets in the state. Right now, Scorecard is looking for young people interested in journalism and media.
We call it the fellowship.
Not exactly that kind of fellowship, but you will find yourself around like-minded world changers dedicated to telling stories that matter to Texans.
We're looking for young people ages 18 to 25 to join our paid fellowship. All fellows will receive a monthly stipend of $2,000 to cover their expenses.
Fellows will have the opportunity to specialize in one of 3 tracks: writing, research, and administration.
Go to texasscorecard.com/fellowship to apply today.
Lastly, in some unusual election news, U.S. Congressman Pat Fallon is leaving Washington, D.C. and seeking a return to the Texas Senate. Okay, so life moves quickly. Literally, when I was recording that at the Capitol, you had last night, Representative Pat Fallon announced that he wasn't going to seek re-election to Congress. He was going to go back to the Texas Senate, back to the Senate seat that he represented before he was elected to Congress in 2020. Now, less than 24 hours later, that has changed. He's apparently reversed course. He's been telling people that he's going to run for Congress after all. He's going to run for re-election. Now, this seat was open because State Senator Drew Springer, who replaced Pat Fallon in the Senate when he left, decided that he wasn't going to seek re-election. He announced that last week. And so you had this domino set up where people were looking at who's going to run for Senate, perhaps with Pat Fallon out of Congress. Certain members were eyeing that as well. You even had Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick endorsing Pat Fallon for his return, literally just moments after he put out his announcement. But as of right now, at least for the moment, Representative Pat Fallon will be running for re-election and will not be running for the Texas Senate like he filed to do yesterday. Now, for those who are keen political observers, you might remember, if you can think back all the way to 2019, that this is not the first time that Representative Fallon has reversed course on a decision to run for office. In 2019, he said that he would challenge John Cornyn, and then just a few weeks later said, actually, never mind, I'm going to stay in the Texas legislature. So at this moment, Representative Pat Fallon not seeking a return to the Texas Senate, running for re-election to Congress. But look, filing deadline ends in a few weeks. Anything could happen before then. To stay up to date with the latest news, you can go to texasscorecard.com.
Do you want to get your news from people who share your values? Texas Scorecard, real news for real Texans.